Welcome home, Raiders. Tonight, we've got a special treat for you. The one, the only turnip, that is Zorbrix, will be here. This is CTR number 359.
You're listening to Convert to Raid. The podcast for Raiders in the World of Warcraft.
I don't know what show number it is, but that doesn't matter. It's number 359, and my name is Pat Krane. I'm the host of the show, and as always, we do have one of the players joining us, and that would be the lovely and talented Thyst. Hello, Thyst.
Am I still muted?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine now.
Hi.
You're
Thanks
unmuted.
for having me.
Yeah. No problem.
I guess.
No problem. Also with us, direct from Blizz HQ, it's the guy who started all of the MDI stuff. Wait, let me get back to me. There we go. Back to me. All of the MDI stuff, because it's really about me. Sorry, that's camera shots. It's Kyle Hartline, otherwise known as Zorbrix. Welcome.
From an undisclosed location in Irvine, California.
Yes. We are very excited to have you here as I struggle to actually work all the controls because I'm that excited.
Sure.
So thank you so much for joining us. And I hope we are planning some fun questions for you. As we kind of go through. Well, I mean, it's not like
By
serious
funny means
questions.
awkward and hard to answer.
Right.
What's your Raider IO score? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
If it's not above a certain number, you're out of here.
Right.
Bring somebody else in.
My
You
players
get
will eat me
booted
alive.
off the show. That's it.
Promote on.
That's it. Well, welcome everybody from around the World of Warcraft and beyond to the show. And for those guys that don't know Zorbrix, Kyle, why don't you tell us what you do and who you are and why a turnip? How about that?
Why a turnip?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess my title is these days product manager for WoW Esports. So we have a WoW Esports team here. It's a pretty small team, but we handle everything for MDI, for Arena World Championship, BlizzCon, all the fun stuff. So these days, now that we have MDI in full swing, that's mainly what I focus on. I've worked on Arena in the past, but now with as much MDI as we have, it's basically a full-time job. I'm either doing the current one or planning crazy stuff for the next one. So Turnip.
Right, of course.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it just feels natural.
Sure.
So back in the day, before I started working on esports, I started first as a GM. That's actually where I came up with the name Zorbrix. Back then, we had to pick a name that wasn't used by any WoW character on any server.
Oh man!
I think they've refined the tech back since then. But as a result, you had a lot of crazy names with like Y's and X's and all sorts of stuff, right? Because you had to make sure no one took it because it would actually like mess with how you interacted with like the game or whatever.
Sure.
So. And then I went started in QA, moved over to QA, moved here to Irvine from Texas, and eventually I got a Blizzard forum account, and back then we got to pick avatars for it, which was exciting and nerdy. It was like, oh man, what am I going to pick? What am I going to pick? There's so many options. And we had an inside joke on my team about the turnip pet. This was just after Miss the Pandaria came out.
Oh, of course.
And it's a terrible turnip. And I was like, well, I might as well be terrible. Yeah, I mean, hey, that's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. So I'm a terrible turnip. And they didn't let me have my first option. There was a pet in Mists. I think it was Rascalbot, that red robot guy.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're like, I think that's actually like a trademark infringement of like the J.J. Abrams production company, Bad Robot. So we probably shouldn't plaster that all over the forums. And I'm like,
Sure.
okay, fine. I'll be a turnip. So I could have been a malicious red robot, but here we are. I got leaves and stuff.
I mean, no, because you can't eat a robot. Turnips are delicious.
Well,
Little butter, little salt.
I don't know. See now, I don't know if everybody would think.
Now I feel offended. She wants to eat me.
Well, I don't know, especially a terrible turnip, if a terrible turnip would be delicious, or whether a turnip itself would be delicious without some sort of help.
Just saying.
Just eat carrots. They're evil. They deserve to be eaten. That's fine. Leave the turnips out of it.
And it is kind of fitting that in Mists of Pandaria you had to pick something and it was a vegetable. I mean, you just go down to Valley of the Four Winds and everything is veggies down there. So, I mean,
it's true.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, do you guys remember that episode? This is a tangent. Remember that episode of Bugs Bunny where he goes to that like giant land and he's like got a minecart and he's like inside a giant carrot? No? Come on. It's classic.
Boy.
I don't, yeah.
Wow. I consider myself to be, a fan of those cartoons, and I don't remember.
You don't remember that
I don't
one?
remember. No.
Was he trying to get to Albuquerque or something?
Probably, but he's just, eat it doesn't matter. But that's what I think of anyway, whenever I'm there.
So I believe Thyst also wanted to know what you mained these days as far as when you play.
Yeah, same thing since 2005, Rogue. Rogue for life.
What spec?
Outlaw. I'm a pirate.
Ooh.
He actually is. He's got amazing pirate transmog.
I mean, why would you be anything else? You have all the pirate options in the world. I mean,
of Warcraft.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's
you got
lovely.
Grappling hook and pirate dice, and it's got it all.
Pirates have grappling hooks.
And parrots that sit on your shoulders. Sure. I mean,
eye patches.
Yeah, I feel bad for classes that don't have that. So.
Right.
Everyone should just be.
I'm okay with it.
The hunters have that transmog from the Firelands, and that's gonna be coming back in 8.2.5. That's awesome.
Oh man,
that's gonna be great. Firelands coming back.
Get to deal with Rylith.
Dude, I love that dude. He's the old man that just won't. He just wants you off his lawn. That's all he wants.
Get these kids over here. Get these kids over here off my lawn.
Nuisances. So
relatable content, Patrick.
We did a bit back in the day, back when it was fresh. It's pretty good. So maybe I'll play it during this show. Who knows?
You don't have to. It's okay.
Right. The other question that I have, and this one's a big one. Now I noticed you were down in Sydney with the crew, right?
For Dungeons Down Under.
And this is where I first noticed it. You have a thing with pretzels, with like giant, soft pretzels, right?
Sure.
Well, what is this thing all about? Because that was the first time that I noticed it, but I've noticed it several times since then on the old Twitters.
I don't think I didn't have any pretzels in Australia.
No, but you were like pining for them or whatever, and it's like
I was looking for them. I didn't see any.
So we went to a KBBQ place. Remember? Yep. We went on a train and then we walked the rest of the way there, and then it was like in the back of this restaurant, and I had rice because I'm vegan.
Yeah, in hindsight, maybe not the best restaurant choice.
So everybody else was having fun, so
okay.
Yeah.
Sure,
that's okay.
It was good though. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like a pretzel, but there's a restaurant that we would go to, a bar in Ohio for a lot of our esports broadcasts there, and for whatever reason, I mean, not that Ohio is known for amazing pretzels, they just had these like giant pretzels the size of like your head, and because we'd always end a broadcast at like midnight, it was like the only place open, so every time we went to esports I'd get a pretzel.
Oh,
and
nice.
Established a hardcore brand around pretzels.
And now it's a part of your personal brand.
Well, I'm doing low carb now, so no pretzels for me.
Oh, wow. Man. Wow.
Yep.
No more head pretzels?
No more head pretzels.
Look out.
I'm so sorry. You could eat turnips.
That's true. But I refuse on principle.
That seems kind of cannibalistic. I think we...
A little bit. But I think everybody has the right to be a little bit cannibalistic. now
Wow.
and then, right?
No, I think it's actually felony.
No, that's.
Oh.
I think that's against the
illegal?
law. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with the law.
Maybe we should talk esports, MDI, all that kind of good stuff. Because I mean, WoW Esports has been essentially arena for the longest time, right? MDI came along. How many years ago was it?
So the first true MDI was 2017. So this is our third year.
Okay. All right.
It's such a baby.
Now was the
Just a toddler.
was the MDI actually kind of born out of my idea anyway of it?
Okay.
Is
Let's hear the pitch.
remember those raid things at BlizzCon where we had the show where the two teams would show up and they'd go against each other and do something, and I think the consensus was that it was just maybe a little much.
Sure. I was actually
follow.
backstage for those observing.
Okay.
I had a blast with those. And it was cool content, but like with a raid, right, it's kind of like one and done. You wouldn't want to watch 8 different teams all run through, Dazar'alor back to back to back. Like that would
Right.
be, even if they had interesting different strats, by the end of it, you'd be like, okay, I got it. There's Jaina. Okay.
But is that what MDI was born of, or was it a separate thought? Because I mean, you're basically the dude that came up with it, right?
So that was kind of like a springboard for it.
Okay.
Funny enough, the observer mode kind of thing that we use is actually a horribly rewritten version of that same observing add-on from like 2011. That we were just like, well, it works and it hides all the rest of the stuff, and let's just keep using that. So we just keep band-aiding that, and it hasn't blown up in our face yet.
Nice.
Fingers crossed.
That's the kind of thing I appreciate the most. Like less
Things
work,
don't blow up.
and yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We had challenge modes for a while before Legion, right? And we had Mists and Warlords, and those were really fun. But they were all about like the time trial speed part of it. And you didn't have the variance, right? Your gear didn't matter or change.
Right.
You didn't have affixes. You didn't have like a scaling difficulty level. So I don't think we ever really produced anything on like a full stage for that, because we were worried about it kind of getting like stagnant or whatever.
Sure. And so now, were the affixes were those a part of the original idea where you'd be able to do a dungeon? I mean, what came first, Mythic Pluses or the MDI?
Oh, definitely the game.
Okay.
We just see whenever they're putting out, a new feature or a new piece of content, and it's like, oh, hey, like let's use that and do something
Sure.
cool with it. So they had the first time we heard about Mythic Plus, I was like, okay, this could actually be a thing.
Yeah,
Man.
and look, now it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
So you basically like birthed the MDI, right? Like you're like well, I guess that would make you the mother of the MDI. Sure, let's go with that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the MDI mama. No, so we did a few things before the first MDI. During like the alpha for Legion, this is before I actually was on esports. We're like, let's take 2 dungeons. I think it was like Maw of Souls and Halls of Valor, I think. And we did like a really, really small thing. It was pre-recorded. They weren't even racing head to head. And did something really small with it. I don't even think we had affixes at that point. And then once Legion shipped, I moved over from QA to WoW Esports. And then that fall, we put together a program with our collegiate partner, TESPA. And I think it was the Great Collegiate Dungeon Race. And,
I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah, we had Sloot out for that. We had Sloot and Lore casting actually in this building, on campus. We went really like bare bones, really low budget stuff. Like we had like a printed backdrop behind them.
Right.
We had, and that was in one of our conference rooms. In a conference room across the hall, we had like 6 PCs set up to observe it and do all that other stuff. And so that wasn't technically MDI, but we learned a lot from that, and the tech we used kind of turned into the MDI the next year.
Sure.
Cool.
Sure. That's cool. So now you're doing the MDI from Ohio, right? For the most part. and then bringing it wherever you need to for the LAN tournament, right?
Yeah, this year, we changed the name to Mythic Dungeon International because we needed another word that started with I, and that fit.
You're like, we can't change the letters, guys.
Yeah. I mean, like, I like the acronym too much, and I'll slip up and say the wrong thing. So,
right.
But so it's like, well, if we're international, we should have the land somewhere else. So we decided on Australia, and so we went down under for dungeons, and but who knows where it could be in future years.
What made you think Australia? Was it just like, hey, I haven't been to Australia, guys. Let's go there.
Was it because of
I need that stamp on my passport.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's great there, and especially in Sydney, it's an amazing town. So, I mean, you're kind of in a very cool place. So
yeah, we had run for Arena the last year. We had an event out there for the APAC region. We kind of rotate that around. Like I flew out to Taiwan in 2017 to do the event there, and then last year we did it in Australia. And the partner we worked with was great. It was ESL Australia, and when this event was coming up, we were like, well, maybe we'll take it somewhere else. Maybe we'll go international. And so they were at the top of our list just because we knew they could produce an awesome show.
Gotcha.
And they did again this year. So
Gotcha.
They were so nice too. Like everybody there was so nice.
That's
they
Australia.
even gave us, like koalas and kangaroos, little stuffed animals and stuff.
They really, and so nice. And Tim Tams.
Yeah, a lot of Tim Tams.
Well, I mean, Tim Tams. Come on. Everybody's in Australia. They go, well, we have a supply in the cupboard right now.
Sure,
that's just the way it goes.
I think I've got some on the table behind me.
What?
Why aren't you sharing? Oh, no.
Well, they're emergency Tim Tams. If I ever need a favor, feel like I brought these all the way from Australia.
Okay. All right.
Please put this feature in the game.
So let's go through the development of the MDI now. So now you've come up with the idea, you've done the little tester thing, and you decide, okay, we can make this into a thing. So how do you go from 2 conference rooms to that first year? What is that like?
Chaos.
God.
Sure.
No, I mean, even then, we were still. I mean, it was obviously a step up from doing it on campus for, 4 hours. But even then, we were like, let's start small, right? Let's not sprint ahead to the finish line. So that first year, it was just 3 weekends out of Ohio. It was the weekend right after one of our arena lands, so a lot of us were already on site. So me and my boss just stayed around for an extra week or 2 or 3. I don't remember.
Oh, God.
Kind of all blends together. A lot of Ohio that year.
Sure.
To make it happen. So we had a crew that we knew, we had admins, GCD that we worked with a lot that helped us out. And so we have all the pieces here. This is the next step. We'll do 3 weekends. And we'll still do global, right? So even back then we were like, let's do it for every region, because
sure.
Why start small with that? But they were like single days, single elimination, right? If you lost, you were out, and you had to wait a whole another year to come back.
Brutal.
Yeah, it was tough.
Get out for a year.
3 weekends back to back. But even in that process, we were still okay, let's see what works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
So we had room to experiment and have fun without it being this big deal.
Sure.
But is that why the casters were so, I don't know, cavalier and kind of quirky and just a little not less professional? Well, yeah, less professional.
Yeah. Well,
than we're used to seeing.
Well, I mean, you were one of those casters, so
Well, no, but at the beginning,
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we from the start, we had an established brand in Arena. I mean, in some ways, it's actually our longest running esport, because we've had it at BlizzCon every year since 2007.
Gone of time.
And that kind of developed its own tone and brand and casters and that style. And for this, we were like, well, maybe it doesn't need to be as fast paced as Arena, right? When you have Elliot or Sid going light speed, telling you every global cooldown that's about to happen and he's going to die. This kind of broadcast experience didn't need that level of like, play by play. So we were like, well, maybe it'll just be more relaxed. And like, ideally, as a caster, you're having a conversation with the person next to you. A dungeon happens to be going on. You're dropping some knowledge bombs throughout, but we were kind of okay with that relaxed tone.
Right.
I mean, we still made them wear like shirts and ties and stuff instead of like a hoodie.
Shirts
on a couch.
is a good start. Shirts is a very good start.
Wear clothes.
They quickly learned that they could just wear sweatpants because the camera doesn't show anything down there, so they're all just lounging around.
Right.
I did not have that luxury.
And you didn't have that luxury.
No, I did not.
No, you had to like stand up on a stage and stuff. So
true.
Yeah.
But can I just say, like, that kind of camaraderie and I don't know, quirkiness and it kind of gave the MDI, like, everybody's first impression of the MDI was like not only a little less cerebral and fast paced than AWC, so it already seemed a little bit more inviting, and then with the casters being so relaxed and funny, it was like everybody was in on this inside joke, and then the pun jar showed up, and then there was like that pun book that lit up when Sleet opened it and stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of stuff that just really endeared the MDI to a lot of people, like a lot of WoW players right away. So, and I don't know, like that kind of spirit, I feel is one of the most important things about the MDI. And so,
well, in like for Arena, you never know exactly what's going to be happening, right? So you got to be ready for the fast paced. Oh my God, this guy is gonna be dead here in a second. So we got to rattle off every single word that we possibly can think of in 5 seconds. So
I'm always amazed by it. Like, and when they can keep it like they're accurate and you can understand them, but they're still going.
Well, and it's especially like Sid. Sid is amazing when he starts going.
Mode,
Hell yeah!
And it's just, and you can hear it in their voices too, because they start. They just start really ramping up.
But I'm talking.
Yeah, one thing we have to tell a lot of our new talent is like, don't start at 9 because then you can't go any higher. Be at like a 5 and a 6 so that when something crazy happens, you can go all the way in there and wake people up who are watching and falling asleep. They're like, oh no, something's happening.
Sure, but we know that these dungeons are going to be taking 20, 25 minutes, whatever it is, and so that there's going to be lots of downtime where they're just kind of going through trash and trying to make sure that everything's fine and whatever. So it is kind of one of those things where MDI has to have a little bit different personality from Arena.
Yeah, otherwise they just pass out on the desk.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and because we know the length of the match, like Jack's just able to walk away and go eat a snack, where like Adrian has to be glued to the desk because any moment someone could die and we got to go back. So
sure.
He lucked out there.
It was pretty funny those times where Jack would be behind stage and he'd have like his dinner like halfway in his mouth, and then I don't know, they'd have to reset the dungeon.
Something would happen.
He'd like throw it, running.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's why we do remakes, just to make Jack run places.
It's really funny.
Yeah, they're good
times. Such a professional about it, though. He's just like, enough of this sandwich.
No, it's been like I got really lucky with talent for MDI. Like, even from the start, it was just a great group of people, and everyone that we've been able to add on over the years has just been just great. Like, they're passionate about dungeons, they want to share them with the world, and it's a good experience.
And they're smart, so smart.
Are you saying that about yourself, Thyst?
No, absolutely not.
No, sure you said everybody. He said everybody.
I thought I knew about WoW, but then when I went to go hang out with these casters, like, they just sit and talk about WoW, and they're saying things that they're saying words that I've never heard before, and I'm just like, I haven't played this game for 15 years. I don't know what you just said.
That's because you've only been playing Mage.
That's not true.
Well, mainly been playing Mage.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
For the last 10 years anyway.
That's also true. God, I'm old.
Right. So, were there any big surprises along the way as far as either from a production standpoint or from like a location standpoint, especially when you go out to places like Sydney, where it's not your home, so it's not like you are super familiar with everything that's going on. Anything happened that was particularly a juicy story for us here?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I would say we lucked out with Australia. I mean, that was our first time taking it overseas, going international with it. But I was lucky or smart and planned ahead and brought a lot of the key members that produce it normally for us out of Ohio. So I brought both my producers over, and so like it didn't shock me that we did a great job there. So I was happy with that. It was surprisingly, I would say observing's the hardest part of MDI. We get lucky with arena. There's different arena maps, but at the end of the day, it's a single room, or maybe like a little side room or a little nook or something.
Yeah.
But you have a very defined idea of what the map is, and we have tools built into the game that the WoW dev team has been nice enough to add to allow like really smooth camera panning and like rotation, and like it's even got a smart cam that'll like, it knows to fit all 6 players in a single shot automatically and does stuff. With MDI, we didn't have any of that.
Of course not. Why would you need that?
Even the first question, we were like, oh, how do we observe? It was kind of one of the toughest problems to solve. So, funny enough, this being the name of the podcast, the first thing we have to do for MDI is actually convert the party to a raid.
Hey, look at that. Nice.
And then we actually literally stick GM characters in like group 8.
Sure.
So because we don't have a good way to like kind of like sneak in there and see everything. So we make them turn it into a raid, which the players, as they learn, were like, wait, this breaks all my add-ons and stuff. We're like, sorry.
Whoops.
Most of them know by now, but and then a couple times we'd have like, hey, can you instead of your observer being like a rogue, can you change it to a mage because it's messing with my weak auras and stuff like that?
Oh my god.
Nice.
So cool.
Yeah, so we actually have to be in there. So just from the start, because I mean, it's not like it's a game mode that's built into the game, right? Dungeons are a part of the game and have been forever. But this idea of like 2 teams racing head to head, the game doesn't know that's happening, right? Mm-hmm. We're just kind of making that part up. I mean, they're doing it live, but they're completely separated from each other. So there's no war game, there's no challenge. Like I challenge you to a race, that doesn't exist. Right. But that's also let us be really flexible, because like especially in the first year when we had everything online and we didn't have a LAN or anything, like our global final weekend was like Australia versus Europe and NA versus China, and normally for a normal game that's like a recipe for disaster, right? Like oh man, my ping's 500 because I'm living in London and trying to log onto a server in China. Like that's just not how the internet's built. But for this program, players in Europe log onto a server in Europe, players in China log onto a server in China. On our end, we start them at the same time and we have observers logging in, but our latency doesn't matter in that regard, and the players are fine, and that's the important thing. Right. So like, even though we have some like hurdles we have to jump through, it gives us a crazy amount of flexibility with program design and just fun stuff that we can do, where normally we'd have to throw everyone on a plane and fly them out somewhere. And we do that now for our big events, but it would have been hard to sell that in the beginning. Like, hey, I want to do this idea, but we had to fly players from all over the world for an event. Like that's suddenly you've just tripled the budget for something.
Yeah. And that seemed pretty hard to do. Like there's a lot of, I mean, we were like missing like one entire team, weren't we? And then some players from other teams. Well,
thankfully this time, another one of the reasons it was easier to get the teams from China over to Australia. It's tough to bring them to America sometimes. It just takes longer. But they actually weren't denied. Their visa wasn't denied or anything. One of the players had a family emergency, so he couldn't make it. So the team declined to travel, so we got an Australian team instead. But yeah, it's still not a given to get people places. There's it's tough when like the government's telling you something and it's like, oh yeah, actually I can't solve that problem with a phone call or a hot fix or something.
Right.
This is Blizzard. Do you know who you're talking to?
These people in the country, please.
Yeah, and that's got to be. I mean, that's got to be one of the most challenging things ever. Is just trying to deal with visas and travel and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, especially these days, because I know that in the U.S. they've kind of clamped down on a lot of different stuff as well. And so we've seen it. We saw it for BlizzCon last year, and I'm trying to remember exactly who couldn't make it. But I think there were some Overwatch players that couldn't make it in, and then there were some arena players that didn't make it or whatever.
I myself got kicked out of the United States the first time I tried to come over here.
What?
You know that story.
Crazy.
But they let you back in.
Well, yeah, but I had to do a lot of stuff to get back in. Legal stuff. Not illegal
legal stuff. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Now I forgot what I was.
Comment.
I forgot what I was going to do. So now that we are kind of established, how is the MDI doing? What is the health of the MDI right now? And because we're ramping up for yet another season, right?
Yeah, so this is the first time we're really doing a full second season in a year. Last year we had a great season at the end of Legion, and then we took a break, and we had a small exhibition event at BlizzCon,
right?
With the Mythic Dungeon All-Stars, which was fun, but it was that was kind of short. So this year we're actually trying. We're like, okay, let's see what the appetite is for MDI. Like, is 2 seasons good? So I mean, earlier this year, we had a season with and now we have seasonal affixes. So that was kind of like the reaping season, and since we're kind of aligned with the game schedule, now we're going into a new season and we have beguiling to deal with. So we're hoping that even though it's still the same expansion, things will be mixed up enough to keep it interesting for the players.
That's actually very cool. I love the affixes that they're throwing in there, like beguiling and reaping before that. It really does seem to kind of add something new for each season. So you're not like, oh, this is the same old thing. I've seen this before. Well, no, that's beguiling. It's cool.
Yeah. You would. I mean, it's the same dungeon, but hopefully it's a different take on it. And I mean, we're excited about it. So we've got 6 weeks coming up of cups, and then we get to see them all at BlizzCon for the finals.
When do those guys hit the tournament realms? That's soon, right?
Yeah, they're actually on there right now. Okay. So for the MDI West players have already been invited. They're setting up their characters. We worked out a few kinks with the server and got things going, and they're gearing up and practicing because their first weekend time trials actually starts this weekend for them. So they'll won't be a broadcast, but they'll be racing against the dungeons that we picked,
right,
getting their best times, and then we'll have our first cups the weekend after that on August 10th, and then we got 6 weeks in a row of MDI.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Sounds cool, man. So now do you go through and you pick the dungeons and the affixes beforehand, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, we have a giant wheel that we spin.
Awesome.
Really?
No.
It's like Wheel of Fortune, but it's Wheel of Death.
Yeah, so I mean, we try to strike a good balance because we don't want to make it too easy or brutally hard. Those are both bad. So usually, like me or someone on my team takes a crack at like, okay, here's the dungeons, here's the affixes we want to do. Then I usually also then reach out to people smarter than me that play even more WoW that are like, hey, is this too hard? Is this too easy? And then, it's okay to be a little mean sometimes, but you don't want the entire week to be brutal. You don't want, let's do tyrannical and grievous and quaking
on,
Toll to Gore or Waycrest.
Implement it, you coward.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Who the real players are.
The internet
I think people
would
have
be
this
fire.
impression that like we're sitting in the back just cackling as people die. And I mean, that's happened once or twice, but
I mean, sure.
At some point you feel bad and you want them to succeed.
I guess.
Well, and it's funny because I've talked to like some of the dungeon and raid developers, and they're like, my job is not to like beat up the player. My job is to
you want to rough them up a little bit.
You want them to win, but just barely, right?
Yeah.
You want them to work
just
for it.
Barely.
Yeah, exactly. So now what does preparation look like for you for I mean, because you're going to be going off to Ohio soon, right? And you're going to be...
Yeah. Well, so I mean, thankfully, we're at the point with this program where I don't need to be on site for every single broadcast.
Okay.
As much as I love Ohio in the summer, I don't. And
I believed you.
especially now, I mean, like in the early days, we were like, oh, let's do 3 weekends or 4 weekends. Like it was more okay. But at this point, like if I'm absent from my job for 6 weeks in a row,
it's tough.
They get a little cranky when they need stuff from me. So I'm at the point where I have a great team now, where I have people on site in Ohio that are have even more seat time than me on running that part of the broadcast, like our observers and our producers and stuff, that for the first time this year, I was able to be remote. So I'm still glued to my computer at 2 a.m. because we have some overnight broadcasts, but I'm able to do it from home, which is great and just gives you a lot more flexibility than being on a plane every weekend for the whole time.
I can't believe you don't like that. Just being on a plane.
It is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Ohio in the summer. It's I'm sure it's beautiful.
As much as I joke about it, like we actually have a great studio in Columbus and a great crew. So like every time I go is great. Like I'll be headed out there next weekend to launch this season. But ideally, I'm just sitting around doing nothing while everyone else does work. And
ideally, that sounds like
that's the life, right?
That sounds like the dream job right there, pal.
Yeah.
So that's not bad.
Please.
But then something breaks and they're like, hey, Kyle, what do we do? Like, oh, okay, let's figure it out.
Right. Does that happen a lot? Does something break every weekend?
We've gotten a lot better at it.
I just want to make sure that I feel good about myself because stuff around here breaks all the time. So
yeah,
it happens
all the time. So what are you looking forward to this season coming up?
Yeah, I mean a lot really. I mean with I'm looking forward to the new affixes. We've got Siege of Borealis back in the pool because we're allowing players to swap between Alliance and Horde as much as they want. Mm-hmm. We saw that a little bit at the LAN, but we're going to see that even more this time around. And then just seeing like how people deal with like having new essences and stuff.
Right.
Because on the tournament realm, they have access to full set of raid and dungeon gear. They have all rank 3 essences unlocked. They have
That's awesome.
The 2 minor neck essences open, so they have a lot of flexibility with design as they're kind of picking characters, and then even between maps they can go back to the faction city and change things up. So hopefully we see different strategies and different team comps kind of tackling these dungeons.
Right. And
or there'll be 2 rogues, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, and I do think that we may see some more switching up as far as Alliance versus Horde this time around too, because now with Beguiling, there are some mobs that you just can't skip, right? So.
Yeah, and I mean we had kind of Night Elf fever early on this year with Reaping. So and the year before that we had Blood Elf fever with the AoE Silence.
It was awesome.
It was just Blood Elf everywhere.
Right.
So who knows? I mean, these guys are top end players. So if something has a small advantage, they're gonna switch to do it. That's the point of the program. So wouldn't be surprised if they figure out the best way to tackle these things. But that's fine.
Sure.
And maybe we'll see races other than elves on the MDI. I mean, we saw some dwarves, stone form. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right. Those dark iron dwarves and stuff like that as well. So I mean, you can come up with some cool combos and stuff like that. Now, were you watching the world first stuff, the world first race?
Yeah, we actually had it up on our office TV up here, so catching as much as I can, switching between all the feeds, and I think my favorite part was the channels that allowed us to listen into the actual
the comms and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean it's something I wish we could do more on our broadcasts, but when you're live, it's a little dicier trying to listen in and
really when you're trying to run a clean show, you don't want to maybe put comms on.
No. That's exactly why I don't stream my raid, because I'd probably get kicked off of Twitch.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think you gotta record it at least, and then come up and see if you can do whatever. I mean, Overwatch League does that pretty well.
We've done that a few times. I remember a great clip of Rub Cub just popping off after when in Arena a couple years ago, and we actually recorded the comms because they were on site.
Sure.
And turned that into a little piece. But yeah,
Awesome.
It's tough to do because there's so many cool ideas. Like,
So
you
quick.
record this footage and do this analysis or do
Right.
everything else.
Right. Everything is so quick. By the way, I just want to say a big congratulations to Method, number one,
Totally.
because they actually downed Queen Ashara, and they were the first ones. Like I said last week, that's where the smart money is, because those guys know how to do
They're
it.
crushing it. Yeah.
And then right after that, Limit comes back, and they just come in for a world second like 4 or 5 hours later.
So close.
Like no problem, whatever, we got this thing. And so, I mean, it was just a really cool thing.
And I think Alpha just downed it, I think, today.
good.
Oh, nice.
On Chinese servers, I think.
Well, good
Nice.
for them.
We already got 3 down.
And so,
It took Method 8 days and 350 pulls.
yeah, and it took
They're really methodical about that kind of stuff.
and it took Limit 500 plus pulls, because they were going at a much faster pace, as far as they just wanted to get people familiar with it or something, just a different style, right? So
Totally.
Whereas Method was stopping every 3 or 4 fights to analyze, and they put everybody on a break or whatever, and just kind of
They wheel in the whiteboard.
they were
They cross something off. They write something else.
yes, they were methodological. No, they were methodical.
Pat.
I was trying to do a method thing, and then it failed.
Trying to get
So
on the MDI
I
path?
was trying to,
Yeah.
So yes, but they were very, very smart. Now, when you watch these streams, especially for something like that, which was 24/7 for almost 2 weeks, do you take anything away from that you might be able to bring to the MDI? Did you see anything this time around that you're going, oh my God, that's great, I think that this should be or at least developed further?
I think I saw Tettles dancing on camera, and I was really excited about that.
That is exciting.
I'm going to try to incorporate that into the NDI.
Put it to music,
tune
you're
in for
good.
that. Yes.
Right. I think that's good.
Actually, it wasn't for World First, but something that we all laughed about here a couple weeks ago. There was a classic duel tournament on the classic beta realms, and they did an interview. Venruki won his first match or something, and they did an interview in front of a green screen where they were interviewing his character, his avatar.
Yeah.
We all just cracked up because we're like, that's such a great idea. We love when we can actually kind of merge together the players as humans and their characters and transmog and stuff.
They really are.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, this is what Sea-Doo looks like. But let's look at his shaman's transmog.
Nobody knows
But-
what he actually looks like.
Yeah,
Well, let's take a look at his character. Come on.
Yeah, we love merging that stuff together. We've done that a few times with media pieces and stuff. Because that's what we're all here for. We love World of Warcraft and we love playing it. So any chance we can have to embrace that really nerdy aspect of it, we're gonna totally do it.
Gotcha.
I love embracing nerds.
Yeah.
People leave that where it is. So now we've got we've got the summer season coming up, and we've got 6 weeks of fun there, and then that will determine who goes to BlizzCon, right?
Yeah, so Method EU and Method NA took the top 2 spots from the LAN in Australia.
Wait. Method? Again?
They made it look
so
easy.
Good. They're so good.
Yeah. So they already got their spot locked in for BlizzCon. So then there's 4 more spots open up for grabs. So the top 2 teams based on points for the whole year from the West Division, and the same for East. They'll make up the last 4 teams. So some teams that stuck together that are still kind of in it. They have an advantage going into this season, but we also bumped up the number of points we're handing out this season. So if people are committed enough, really it's anybody's game, especially in the West. If a team kind of comes in strong and gets top 3s for all 3 of their cups, they have a really good chance of making it.
Anybody that you've got your eye on where you're like, I don't know how they'll do, but I'm watching you guys. You got some of those teams?
Yeah, I don't know. We got some returning teams this time around,
Right.
and some teams have reformed. So we'll see if we can get another NA team out of the mix from the West, or if it'll be 2 Europeans.
Okay.
a couple teams kind of like rethought up some stuff and combined going into this season. So
Cool.
we'll see. The teams that like, it wasn't like, they were doing okay, but they weren't like top tier. Like maybe they've had a chance to kind of rethink things. I mean, they have to go up against really tough teams, right? Like being in a bracket with Method EU and Method NA, that's a tall order. But hey, it's double elimination, so you can always bounce back and make a run for a bracket.
Sure.
But yeah.
and I guess the other BlizzCon question is, do you have any surprises in store for us for MDI BlizzCon?
Tell us the surprises.
All of the surprises right now.
Please.
Well, now this year we get twice as much confetti because we have both championships at BlizzCon. So
Can you do like bubbles and fake snow this time as well? Blizzard, fake snow.
How about?
Come on.
Bad. That's bad.
I'll look into bubbles. I mean, that's very Ashara themed.
Thank you.
Or falling balloons, or I don't know, whatever.
We'll just get Lady Ashvane and have her jump on stage and just throw bubbles at people, and
that would be terrifying.
That'd be a little terrifying.
Right.
Why is there giant pieces of coral coming up through
Seriously,
the ground? Oh, no.
This year at BlizzCon, the theme is tentacles.
It's the under the sea dance.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
we'll have Marty on stage and his hand will just start ghosting out, and
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But then he gets back into it and plays Johnny Be Good, and that's the closing ceremony. Like, let's do it.
We gotta get back in time.
Right? Right? Come on.
That was so perfect.
That was so awesome. Thank you for the setup. For that stupid sounder. All right. So now, is there anything else, MDI, that you want to tell people? Anything else that we can expect? Anything else that's coming up that you're really super psyched about?
So I don't want to give too much away.
Okay.
But I will say one thing that at least me personally, like, I love getting feedback about MDI, people that tell me, how we observe it and all the information we're showing. I don't have anything to show yet, but it is something we're working on. And we have a couple cool ideas about stuff that we can show this season to get more information out to, the hardcore audience that wants more. So stay tuned for that. We're working on it.
Well, and that always is kind of the thing. It's like, how much crap can you throw up on the screen and still have it be recognizable at that point? Because we saw on the World First race all those Raiders UIs that have just stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Does it even have gameplay going in the middle? I don't know.
That as WoW players, we are able to take in a lot of crap at the same time and understand it all, mostly.
But the problem is, how do you do that for like a viewing audience where you have two teams up there and it's like, we got to make this thing kind of work?
It's tough because, we try to balance out what we're showing, or, if a team's crushing it, we make them a little bit bigger so you can see them clearly.
Yeah.
But, it's tough because, the amount of information people want and have a legitimate need for is massive. We've added healing meters in the past. There's small things like that we can do. We're trying to find a way to add even more information. So hopefully that works.
I am glad that Jack kind of was like really into the healing stuff, so that we could get some more of that stuff, because I mainly heal, so it's one of those things where you just get used to it, and it's like, what's going on? What's happening? I couldn't see what I wanted to see. So thankfully that's resolved.
I love that in MDI East we had a healer named Jack, so every time we'd be talking about it, we'd always think about automatic Jack, but it was actually someone completely different. But
that's confusing, though.
A little bit.
I'm confused even now. But I am typically.
Automatic Jack's the really tall one.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Right.
With
he's tall and skinny.
Wide assortment of ties and tie clips.
Oh, those guys love playing dress up. I love it.
They really do.
It's the best part.
All right. Okay. Now we're going to get into the stuff. Now here's where we're going to get into the stuff. What was your favorite behind the scenes moment in Sydney this year? How about that? How about that? Or like a good one. Doesn't have to be your favorite, I guess. We can just go with a solid one.
At one time, they brought us these really huge falafel balls.
Yeah, that was yours.
They were good.
We had to rehearse the like scroll ceremony a few times because we were like, how do we get like? 'Cause we had like all these boxes of scrolls, and we're like, how do we get them to players? Like with BlizzCon, we were lucky, right? In previous years for BlizzCon, we've had these like the trophies, like the portal guardians from the Dark Portal or trophies. So like we've long since figured out the best way to do that is don't hand it to them, like put them on a table or a pedestal or something and have players run up and grab them and hold them above their head, or just do natural stuff, because getting involved and handing out stuff is tough. But with this many players and with 2 teams moving on to BlizzCon, we had these awesome scrolls to hand out for them.
Right.
It's basically like their quest to BlizzCon. So they're, it's a nice nerdy thing to do. But it's surprisingly the logistics of doing that and getting them to line up properly and then hold it so it's actually readable and not upside down.
Right.
It's
a cool prop, but at the same time, it's a very difficult prop.
Yeah.
We rehearsed it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It was like
I got to hold a scroll.
Because we got to do it, and then on production, they're like, "No, it didn't work. We have to readjust where the cameras are and move these guys over here." And then, okay, Kyle, you come over from this way. I'm like, "Okay, geez," I'm just handing them a scroll. Like, oh no.
We ran out of practice scrolls, and so you were like handing them invisible scrolls.
Yeah.
It was like some of the ESL guys are like taking the Phantom Scroll and like, oh wow, and then people are congratulating them. It's like, it's so great.
Yeah, hey, you got to walk through all the corny fake stuff.
So now at BlizzCon, probably not a scroll, probably just a trophy or a medal or something like that, right?
We will see.
Ooh.
Oh, you're not telling us. Ooh.
I'm not telling you. Although I'll tell you what I'm not going to do, but I wanted to do, but we couldn't figure out a way to do it right, was having a giant treasure chest filled with gold. But they shot that down because they didn't want to actually have a 5,000-pound treasure chest full of gold.
Oh, come on. Didn't they do something like
chocolate coins?
Didn't they do something like that for Hearthstone? You could just grab theirs and just make it. I mean, it's a Warcraft game, right?
Stuff.
So, come on.
Isn't Hearthstone within WoW?
Yeah.
That's a thing. That's a meta thing.
Yeah.
Just steal Hearthstone.
Yeah,
but they do even more with Leroy Jenkins than we do.
Yeah, that's actually true. That is true.
Yeah, they made
hey, if you have any of those scrolls left, can I have one?
If you sign up next year and make it to qualify to BlizzCon.
I'll try.
Thyst, are there questions that you would like to ask Zorbrix?
I just asked the most important one, honestly.
Well, of course. And by the way, guys, it's Zorbrix. It's not Zorbix.
Yeah.
I just want to let you guys know there's a couple of R's in there. They're split up, but they're in there. R's. So don't say Zorbix. Say Zorbrix. I was difficult.
Saying that for the longest time. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's a made-up name, so it's fine.
Wait, it's made up? No,
right?
Come on.
I think when I was a GM, it originally had a Y in it somewhere, and then I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna stop that." That's
oh my gosh, so edgy.
Yeah, right.
Was there like 3 X's?
XX, turn of God, XX.
Yeah. Oh, rar.
Right. Thyst, was there anything else that you wanted to ask?
I think that's pretty much it. But it's just you've created an esport. Like you.
How does that feel?
Yeah. What is that like?
Humbling. I don't know. I mean, it's just
amazing.
It's just fun. I mean, for me, it was just so cool because I've worked on or for or with World of Warcraft my entire time at Blizzard, starting as a GM and then moving to California to join the QA team. It's all been World of Warcraft. So for me, it was just cool to take something that not only am I super passionate about, but I also know so much about, and kind of bringing that to the masses. I mean, I don't make the game. I didn't design, Mythic Dungeons as a feature or anything, but it's just cool to take the work that awesome designers did and showing it off to people. I was a tester testing the dungeons and raids of Wrath and Cataclysm and Mists, and just, going from that to actually producing that on a stage at BlizzCon, it was like, okay, this is actually pretty surreal. But I'm the kind of person that sticks myself and buries it in work, and backstage, on 4 different headsets and laptops and doing stuff. And
Well, I mean, it's
last year for BlizzCon, my boss, Jeremy McIntyre, who knows me really well and I even worked with in QA, like dragged me when we had MDI All-Stars on, dragged me from backstage to sit in the crowd and maybe watch it in the crowd.
Oh, that's nice.
For like 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Watching people nerd out and like get emotional or start yelling, or like when someone messed up the lightning maze in Temple of Seth Rallis, everyone went crazy. Right. I was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's got to be cool. It's like when directors get to watch their own movie with the crowd watching it, and it's just it's got to be kind of surreal on a lot of different levels. I do have, let's see, I know I have at least one question from Twitter. I know that some people were wanted to know stuff about you or from you. Now, Jess says, what's the best word in the English language and why is it petulant? I gotta know this. I gotta know. This is a story, right? So
no, I just put my foot in my mouth too many times on something.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Do we want to get into it or no?
Call people. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
She wins.
And she also says, and ask him how to Dougie.
Yeah, I mean, big fan of interpretive dance. So.
Oh, that makes sense. That's what you were doing the whole time in Sydney. I thought you were just jet lagged.
just swaying,
Yeah, just moving around and stuff.
I mean, I was just mad there wasn't Pretzels anywhere, so
Right.
Yes, clearly.
So Dratnos X in Twitter asked, "What's the thing that surprised you most about the MDI since it began?" That's a good one.
Surprised me the most. Honestly, it was just like the appetite for it. Like I didn't set out, and I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but we didn't set out to do this like massive big thing. It was just like, hey, like, Mythic Plus is a cool feature in Legion. Like, let's do something with it. Like we have a really cool opportunity here, and maybe we could broadcast this. And, we kind of cobbled together a program, figured out how to qualify people and get them on the tournament realm, and figure out how to scale artifacts and all this other stuff. And we broadcasted it. We're like, oh, that actually went pretty cool. That was good.
And how key were the guys over at GCDTV? Because I know that they're
great. Yeah, like, observing this is tough, and especially for some of our longer days where it's like they're there for 13 hours and just running around. I mean, like, you can tell, like, when you go back and look at the VODs from like 2017 when we're just figuring out, like, okay, how do we fly through dungeons? How do we get a good camera feed? How do we do this? Then you compare it to where we are now, and it's mostly the same people. That they've grown along with the program about hey, let's figure out stuff.
They really helped along the arena program too. I mean, they were instrumental in some of the developments that have happened in arena.
Totally. I mean, David Hollings from my team, shout out to David. He's one of the best people I know, and even more passionate about WoW than me. Like, he founded GCD back in the day. He was the owner and creator of it, and was just producing arena content just for because he loved doing it, because he bumped into Brian Halinka at a LAN in New York years and years ago, and was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make this stuff. And he did it, and turned it into a business, and then got picked up by Blizzard around the same time I moved over to esports. And but it kept the company still around, handed it off to some people, and been working with them ever since. And it's great having people that are knowledgeable about the game and don't take any crap from players, and are just hard workers that they've taken that and helped us turn this into an actual esport that people actually want to watch.
That's always one of the cool things about really anything that I see with Blizzard, either esports or whatever. If you are doing something that is really, really cool as a content creator, or as just kind of I just want to showcase this game as best I can and come up with a really cool idea, Blizzard will say, well, you're working for us now. Right?
And yeah, I mean, I occasionally you feel bad because it's oh, we took that person and now they're not producing the same kind of content anymore, but they're ours now. So
yeah, sweet Lady Blizz.
Right.
Haven't scooped them up.
And we're just waiting for the next one to come along and come create great content so that we can scoop them up as well. So
yeah, hey.
So that's awesome. Well, I know that you have to raid tonight.
Yeah.
It is Tuesday after all. I know
We
a
have
lot.
to go wipe on heroic.
What's your progress like right now?
We were so close to getting Ashvane down. It was a brutal, heartbreaking wipe when too many people got bubbled and then
Oh no!
hit her at the wrong time. But we'll get that tonight, I'm sure.
Right.
Had kind of a slow start to the season, but yeah. And then we can go further, and then we'll start wiping on Ashara, like proper raiders.
Yeah.
Awesome.
350 times over 8 days.
Yeah, we don't usually bother with Mythic. I mean, we're the type of guild that the flexible rating size thing just works out great for us, right? Like, oh, you have 10 people on a Sunday, cool. You have 28 people on a Tuesday. That's fine. So that's
Right.
I love that feature.
we live in that normal and heroic range.
That's awesome because I mean Mythic is basically just running into a wall repeatedly, right? I mean,
And I do that all day at work, so I don't need to go home.
right. Exactly. Well, Zorbrix, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's definitely a thrill to have you join us on the show, and I hope that the folks both in Twitch chat and on the podcast, the people that are listening to us wherever they are, learned a lot about it. And I know that we're gonna have to also figure out where to stick actual news into this show.
There's no news. It's fine.
I tried to put it into the show somewhere. Mythic Race to World First. Really, that's it. That's the only thing
that talking about esports.
Right. It's all esports. But I do want to thank you very much. Here's the big applause.
Thanks for having me.
And make sure to follow him at Zorbrix on Twitter.
That's a hard R, Patrick.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to make sure that people heard it. That's right. And thank you very much. And we will, I guess we're gonna wrap up the show without you. But
okay,
but
that's fine. I'm gonna go beat up some bosses.
Go raid, man. Go have some fun. All right. Thanks again, and
Thank you.
And I'm sure, hopefully, we'll be talking to you later.
Yeah.
BlizzCon. I'm gonna come and bug you.
Back.
Oh shit! That was not legally binding.
Yes, it was. I'm writing it down right now.
All right. Sweet. All right. For right now, I think I'll just throw that up. But yeah, thanks so much. I really do appreciate it, and I will let you get to raiding. All right. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Bye.
That was such a good interview.
That was so great. We were just chatting.
Yeah. No, it was so natural.
That wasn't an interview. We were just chatting.
One of the best things to come out of the whole MDI experience for me was making friends with Zorbrix. He's a great guy.
Did you just call him Zorbix?
Zorbrix. Zorbrix.
Are you sure?
I don't have to pronounce the R so harshly,
Okay.
Patrick.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that people
Krane?
heard it. I just wanted to make sure that people heard it.
Pat Krane.
That's it. So there. So I'm gonna play this. So that was pretty awesome. We're all coming down from the interview.
I'm not. I've been sipping this monster the whole time.
Oh boy. You're gonna be up until like 3 a.m.
Woo!
Nice! So Thyst,
What?
just to catch up just a little bit.
Sure.
Now is the new lagging balls out now?
Yes. And you will want to listen to it because I recap every single boss, everything you need to know about Ashara's Eternal Palace in that episode. So it's very important to listen to it if you are at all interested in raiding, because I will help you personally with my words and my knowledge.
Wow. That sounds pretty intense.
You don't want to miss it. It's the smartest thing I've ever done.
But it's full of swears, right?
Of course.
All right. Well, I just want to make sure.
And I reference Twister at least once.
Well, I want to make sure that it's on brand at least for you.
Of course.
So,
of course.
Of course.
Smart
Of course
stuff
it
is on brand for me.
So make sure to pick up the latest lagging balls and of course follow Thyst at Thyst03 pretty much everywhere. And you can follow me at Pat Krane with a K on socials as well. And wait, I'm going to bail on that. I'm going to start up this one. And you can also follow Convert to Raid on Twitter. How's that? Or
Yeah, do it.
Or come and join us online, converttoraid.com. That's where we have everything. We have all the audios, the videos. We have the Convert to Raid podcast network featuring such shows as Lagging Balls.
I like that show.
It's a good show.
It's pretty good. It's not great, but it's good.
It's got a lot of swears in it.
I mean, yeah, but that's part of our charm.
So I mean, if you're driving around, you know, if whoever's out there, if you're driving around with the kids,
don't listen to my show.
but it's still a good show. It's a solid show.
Thank you.
It's very fun.
Very solid.
Yeah, very
Rock hard,
enthusiastic.
in fact. Yes.
Yes. And so you can join us at Convert to Raid for all, converttoraid.com for all that stuff. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Big thank you to Zorbrix. And I will say the hard R again.
Hard R.
Hard R. Hard R. It sounds, it's a pirate. And he plays Outlaw, so that works.
He is a pirate. His pirate transmog is something to behold.
Yes, thanks Zorb very much for joining us, and thank you guys for joining us as well. Thank you Twitch chat. Thank you guys carrying us around with you wherever you go.
You can never say that properly.
Now it is the end of the show, and my mouth is going blubbery. I don't know, something.
You need to see somebody about that.
All right. Well, we're gonna get going. Thank you guys. Thank you Thyst. And
you're welcome.
Until next time, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.